Peace everyone, welcome back to Giganomics, and I got a question from one of the viewers that asked, how do you make time for multiple contracts if one client already has a morning route and an evening route? And the answer really applies to the entire medical carrier industry, whether you're doing pharmacy deliveries, laboratory specimen transport, hospital discharge, medical supply runs, or operating as an independent contractor. The same principles apply. A lot of people who is looking to start a medical carrier business is getting their information from YouTube. They're watching videos of drivers running 30 stops, sometimes even more, and they assuming that that's what every medical carrier route looks like. The problem is they're comparing two completely different business models. On one side, you have independent contractors working for large medical carrier companies. Those companies already have contracts, already have routes, and they trying to maximize every vehicle by loading it up with as many deliveries as possible. On the other side, you have someone building their own medical carrier business and going directly to local healthcare providers, pharmacies, laboratories, and medical facilities. Those routes are often smaller, more localized, and built around specific needs of each client. What many people are watching online are independent contractors working under larger medical carrier companies. The driver, the independent contractor, is just servicing the route. These companies have overhead, dispatchers, management, insurance, and operational costs. They trying to maximize the number of deliveries on each route. The longer the route, the longer the check. And that's why you see medical carrier routes taking contractors 6 to 8 hours to complete. Some routes may pay $10 per stop plus a base fee, but they charging the client anywhere from $20 to $50 per stop and double your base fee. As a 1099 independent contractor, you still being treated like a W-2 employee. You have no control over that route, no say-so on the stops, no say-so on the scheduling, and definitely no say-so on the rate. But when you building your own medical carrier business and you securing your own local contracts directly, things look very differently. Many local healthcare providers don't need 40 to 50 deliveries. A local pharmacy may only have a handful of deliveries, 5 to 15 stops, only 3 days a week, taking 2 to 3 hours to complete. A lab run can be even shorter, 5 to 10 stops and weekends only. A medical office may need scheduled transport 4 times a week. Those are scheduled days. Senior care facilities and individual seniors may only need service during certain hours. The routes in service areas are often smaller. You spend less on gas because you travel less miles. You have more flexibility and you free up more time. And that's exactly what creates room for additional contracts. The one thing I want people to understand is when you get your first medical carrier contract, that contract becomes your foundation. It becomes your anchor route. Everything else get built around it. Let's say your first healthcare clients need service every morning. Those hours become committed. So now when you're speaking to additional clients, you're not starting from scratch. You're identifying the available time blocks that still exist in your day. You may have availability late morning. You may have availability early in the afternoon, or you just may have availability on certain days of the week. As you continue to add contracts, you fill in those gaps strategically, and that's how you build a route. The advantage of working directly with local healthcare providers is that many of these routes are concentrated within a small service area. You're not necessarily driving across an entire state. You servicing a local region, a group of neighboring communities, a cluster of healthcare facilities, a defined territory. And because these routes are more concentrated, it can be completed much faster than people expect. And that's what creates the opportunity to serve multiple clients throughout the day. The goal is not finding one contract that consumes every hour of your schedule. The goal is building several contracts that fits together efficiently. A mistake I see a lot of new operators make is thinking they need to accept whatever schedule a potential client gives them. That's not always the case. Part of running a route-based business is having a conversation about scheduling. When you're negotiating with a second pharmacy, you might explain you currently service another pharmacy during the morning hours but have availability during the middle of the day. During those conversations, you may discover that they're more flexible, they only need deliveries completed before a certain time, or they only need service on specific days. That's why these conversations matter. Not every pharmacy needs the exact same schedule or delivery window. As you continue growing, you start looking at your schedule differently. Instead of asking, can I fit another contract into my day? You start asking, which contracts fit best around the routes I already have? That's a big difference. One approach creates stress, the other approach creates efficiency. Another thing to consider is location. If your first pharmacy route already has you operating in a specific area, your next contract should ideally be located in or near that same area. The goal is to build route density. If your morning route keeps you on the north side of town, it makes sense to look for additional pharmacies, clinics, healthcare providers, or related clients within that same service area. That allows you to generate more revenue without drastically increasing your mileage or your operating costs. That flexibility creates opportunities to stack multiple accounts together in a way that makes sense for your business. Over time, that's how a lot of successful operators build a route portfolio. Another thing I want people to understand is that when you're pursuing medical courier contracts, you're not always going to be working from your contract. Sometimes the client is going to send you their contract. Sometimes they send you over a service agreement and tell you that's what they use with all their vendors. Now, if they're willing to review your contract, that's great. You can present your agreement, your terms, your service expectation, and your pricing structure. But a lot of larger organizations already have their own contracts in place. When that happens, don't make the mistake of assuming their contract is non-negotiable. Read it, review it, and understand it. Because just like rates can be negotiated, contract terms can often be negotiated as well. For an example, if you watch my video on contract clauses, you remember we talk about things like rate adjustment, fuel surcharges, termination clauses, payment terms, liability limitations, and service expectations. So if a client sends you a contract that locks your pricing in forever, doesn't provide a way to adjust the rates, or give them the ability to terminate immediately while requiring you to give them 30-day notice, those are things you should at least discuss. The goal is to make it fair, because a contract should protect both parties, not just one. I've seen new operators get excited about landing courier contracts and sign whatever gets put in front of them. Then a year later, fuel costs go up, insurance goes up, operating expenses go up, and they stuck working under prices that no longer make sense. That's why I always tell people, don't just negotiate the rate, negotiate the terms. Because sometimes the real money isn't made during the first month of the contract. It's made by making sure that contract still works for your business a year from now. So if you're looking at the medical carrier industry and wondering how people manage multiple contracts, understand this. Most successful route operators don't start with 5 contracts. They start with 1. They build their schedule around that first contract, and then they strategically add additional healthcare clients, laboratory accounts, pharmacy deliveries, and other medical carrier opportunities around the available time they have left. That's how route businesses are built, not by finding one massive route, but by combining multiple opportunities into a schedule that makes sense. If you found some value in this video, hit the like, hit the share, leave a comment, and until next time, y'all stay safe, stay blessed, get to your hustle. Peace.